Tucked away in the heart of Southeast Asia lies Laos, a small and peaceful nation surrounded by mountains and rivers. But beneath its serene surface is a history of turmoil, a history shaped by one of the most secretive wars ever fought. Between 1964 and 1973, Laos became the center of a covert conflict that remained hidden from the world for decades. Known as the Secret War, this was not a war declared in public, nor one fought by conventional armies. Instead, it was waged in the shadows, by spies, guerrilla fighters, and relentless airstrikes. This is the story of how a quiet nation became a battleground for superpowers, a tale of survival, sacrifice, and the enduring scars of a war fought far from the spotlight. For nearly a decade, a war raged in the shadows, a conflict so clandestine that it became known as the Secret War. From 1964 to 1973, the small, landlocked nation of Laos, nestled in Southeast Asia, became the stage for one of the most covert and devastating military campaigns in history. As the Cold War intensified, the United States viewed Southeast Asia as a critical front in its battle against communism. While the Vietnam War grabbed headlines worldwide, another war, hidden from public view, was being fought just across the border in Laos. At the heart of this secret conflict was the CIA, orchestrating a massive covert operation. The mission, to stop the spread of communism by targeting the Pathet Lao, a communist insurgent group aligned with North Vietnam. Laos was critical to the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a vast supply network used by the North Vietnamese to support their war effort in South Vietnam. The trail wound through the dense jungles and mountains of eastern Laos, carrying troops, weapons, and supplies. To disrupt this lifeline, the CIA recruited thousands of local fighters, mostly from the Hmong ethnic minority. These brave men and women became the backbone of the American-backed resistance. This war was unlike any other. There were no front lines, no uniforms, and little recognition. The CIA trained and armed the Hmong guerrillas, who waged a relentless battle against the Pathet Lao and North Vietnamese forces. At the same time, the U.S. launched a staggering air campaign over Laos. Between 1964 and 1973, American warplanes dropped over 2 million tons of bombs on Laos, more than were dropped on Germany and Japan combined during World War II. These strikes targeted the Ho Chi Minh Trail, but they also devastated countless villages and displaced hundreds of thousands of civilians. For the people of Laos, the Secret War was a nightmare. Entire communities were uprooted, and the relentless bombing left scars that remain to this day. Tragically, many of the bombs failed to detonate, leaving Laos littered with unexploded ordnance, killing and maiming civilians for decades after the war's end. The Secret War officially ended in 1973 with the signing of the Paris Peace Accords, but for the people of Laos, the suffering continued. When the U.S. withdrew, the Hmong fighters who had allied with the Americans were left vulnerable. Many were hunted down by the communist regime, forcing tens of thousands to flee their homeland. Today, the legacy of the Secret War lives on. Unexploded bombs still endanger lives, and the Hmong diaspora continues to keep their history alive. It is a chapter of the Cold War that was kept out of the spotlight for years, a sobering reminder of the human cost of shadowy conflicts. The Secret War in Laos may have been fought in the shadows, but its impact was anything but invisible. It is a story of courage, tragedy, and resilience